Good evening, and welcome along to Rob and Elliott tonight here on NVTV. What a show we have for you this week. If you're a Neighbours fan, stick around because actor Alan Fletcher, aka Dr Karl Kennedy, is going to be with us in the studio. Also, comedian Tim McGarry will be here talking about the brand new Give My Headpiece tour. Chris Kavanagh will be chatting about The Legend of Luke Kelly, a new show which is out on the road as well. And we'll have music from Amberlight and Empty Spaces. So keep it right here on NVTV. But starting us off on the show this evening, the guys from Give My Headpiece are back out on tour all over the country. They've got dates coming to the Grand Opera House here in Belfast as well. We'll find out more because the main man, Da himself, comedian Tim McGarry, joins us in the studio. How are you, sir?
I'm fantastically well, Robin. Thank you for having me on NVTV.
Good to see you. It's like an annual visit now and you're out plugging the tour, isn't it?
I know, yeah. Well, the tour still keeps going no matter what. I mean, we obviously had a hiatus for the big C word, the COVID. We were in the middle of the tour and it just completely stopped. But we're back now and it's great to be back out on the road. You know, we love it.
So am I right in thinking it's 25 years you guys have been together now?
Yeah, it's actually slightly more, but it's 25 years since Give My Headpiece.
Yeah.
Started on television in January 1998, but before that there was the pilot episode, Two Ceasefires and a Wedding, which is technically 95, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
God, yeah.
Did you ever imagine back then that you would still be going today doing
No! Are you joking? My son was born in 1998. I have a son who's 25 years, just literally a Good Friday Agreement baby, you know. And I remember him being born and we were doing the second series of Give My Headpiece. And now he's 25 and we're still going. It's kind of shocking but wonderful at the same time. I mean, the affection for the characters is still out there. You know, the audiences still turn up. We're selling out virtually everywhere around the country. You know, we're having a ball. You know, why would you stop?
Remind us how it all started. How did all these characters come about?
Well, the Hole in the Wall gang started. We used to do sketch shows, and we had a sketch about terrible Northern Ireland plays and dramas that were on. And we wrote a sketch called Too Late to Talk to Billy and Paddy about love across the barricades and the Terror Triangle, where it was all very stilted and, oh no, you're a Protestant, I am a Catholic, oh no. Kind of grew from there, and we did a radio show and we kind of expanded it into a 1.5 hour episode. And we thought it was a one-off, genuinely thought it was a one-off. And it was Martin Lynch, God bless him, the playwright, who said, you've actually created a soap here, you've got. Yeah. You know, they're larger, I think that's part of the success, is they're larger than life characters, you know, they're two-dimensional and certainly Uncle Andy and all of that. But there's also a grain of truth in them. You know? There's a grain of truth in them for Northern Ireland. There are people like Uncle Andy and Dan and Carl and terrible marriages and all of that. And there's also the fact that with larger-than-life characters like that, you get away with a lot more. You can get a bit more satirical. You can talk about current events and do it in a way where people don't get their back up because they're laughing.
Exactly. So what can we expect from the tour this time round then?
Well, usual sort of nonsense. We are bang up to date. In fact, I just want to complain about Rishi Sunak while I'm here, because we just literally finished the script and then he announced his Windsor framework.
Yeah.
Went, oh, for flip's sake, we're going to have to put the Windsor framework in. So we talk about the protocol, the Windsor framework. We also have Da is actually invited to the coronation.
Wow.
And we find out why Da is invited to the coronation. Why would a Sinn Féiner from Flat 47A be invited to the coronation?
Exactly.
Who's he going to take with him?
Right.
Ma is obviously very upset because Da has been trying to get a number of women to take him, including Pamela Ballantyne, who appears in voice in our show.
Right.
The lovely Pamela Ballantyne. And Pastor Begbie, meanwhile, he didn't get an invite to the coronation.
Yes,
he's very upset. And I don't know if you saw this photograph that did the rounds in January. Did you see this? It's the Pope's funeral. It's a very bizarre photograph. And this did the rounds and went viral. There's a photograph of a guy with a wee beanie hat and a moustache in the midst of all these cardinals at the Pope's funeral.
Yeah.
And it looks astonishingly like Pastor Begbie. And people were going, what's Pastor Begbie doing at the Pope's funeral? So we explained that in the first scene. We explained exactly what Pastor Begbie was up to, and he was in Rome at the Pope's funeral, and we explained exactly why.
Okay, and of course, Paddy Jenkins is back as Pastor Begbie. Yeah. He's also in the short film, An Irish Goodbye, which is up for the Oscars. Paddy's not going to be in LA for the Oscars, is he?
Yeah, okay.
You're stopping him going to the Oscars.
Well, no. To be fair, we let him go to the BAFTAs, which was the day before rehearsals started, and they won the BAFTA, obviously. But yes, I mean, sadly, Paddy is not in LA. He's in Downpatrick. I know, it's just the way things work. And to be fair to Paddy, I mean, it's obviously he'd love to be at the Oscars and all of that.
But if all works out, you're going to have an Oscar winner on stage with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Damon Quinn, who plays Cal, was previously nominated for an Oscar. He produced a short film called The Crush 10 years ago, 11 years ago, called The Crush, and he was actually at the Oscars. And the way showbiz works, he was at the Oscars, literally meeting megastars, and I was doing a gig in Dungannon Swift Social Club, and I go, what have I gone wrong? What have I gone wrong here? He's at the Oscars, I'm at Dungannon. So poor Paddy, I mean, it is, I mean, have you seen the film? It's a brilliant wee film, and I know James Martin well, and I'm absolutely delighted for them all. It's a cracking wee film.
Really is,
Funny, even Seamus O'Hara, isn't that the actor?
Yes, yeah.
I didn't know Seamus, but it turns out that Seamus was doing some of the voices on a radio show I do, the long and the short of it. I wrote sketches and he'd done some of it, so I only met him once, and then I saw him in this, and I thought it was absolutely great. It's a great piece, and touch wood, he will win it. What's happening is, we're in Downpatrick that night. Paddy and a few people are going to return to a certain home and raise a glass at 1 o'clock in the morning and watch the Oscars live.
Brilliant.
So hopefully, touch wood, he will win. And I think it's a great film. I hope he wins.
Excellent. Are you going to be doing some stand-up in the show this year as well?
I'm doing a big bit of chunk of stand-up as usual. Again, I love doing that. It's great. And we've done 6 shows so far. And it's changed every night, which is good, you know, because I do like to mix it up and keep it fresh and follow the news and all that sort of stuff. But the audiences have been great. We had 2 great nights in Armagh. We're just lovely, sold out everywhere. We're up in Derry. We're up in Derry tonight again. We are all over the flipping place, and it's just great to get out and about. And we have Olivia Nash, who plays Ma.
Who I know she might be saying, but she's just turned 80, hasn't she?
Turned 80 last year,
and
we're keeping her going.
Yeah,
we're keeping. She's 80. She never misses a beat, never misses a line. Olivia played with Jimmy Young way back in the old days of the 60s in the group theatre. You know, so her timing is immaculate.
Yeah.
You know, she's not as swift on her feet as she used to be. But we keep her on her toes, and she's just brilliant. You couldn't do it without her. You know,
exactly, and of course she's going to be on stage in the Happy Medium with May McFetridge as well, so she's working like crazy.
More work than I have at her age, you know, and they talk about old people should be retired. No, absolutely, no, more party or elbow, absolutely. You know, she's great to work with.
What about the comedy scene here in Northern Ireland? Because it seems more and more young comics are popping up all the time, and they're selling out venues like the SSE Arena. Now is the time to be a comedian here, isn't it?
It's brilliant. I mean, for a long time, to be honest, after we came out, there wasn't much happening. But now you see the likes of Shane Todd and Mickey Bartlett, Paddy McDonnell, Dave Elliott. I could rhyme off a whole lot. I've done a few gigs with them recently, funny, in preparation for the tour. There are gigs all over the place now. I did one in the Glenore in West Belfast, one in the Strand in East Belfast, one in the Moy. I'm doing a gig in the Moy. And there's loads of comics, and it's a thriving business, but a thriving scene now. And I think a lot of credit goes to the likes of Shane Todd, who started the podcasting.
Yes, yeah.
And and we're very old-fashioned in terms of our route to comedy was theatre, radio, and then TV. Yeah. Now these guys don't even need TV. They're going straight to podcasts. Yeah. They're creating their own audiences. They're selling tickets on the back of their podcasts. And fair play to them, I absolutely, take my hat off to them. They're creating something that wasn't there before. Northern Ireland comedy is, you could throw a stone out there and hit a comedian now, and it's great to see, Of
course, the comedy club continues at the Empire as well, which has always done great business.
The Empire's the oldest and the best, I've been there recently for a few times. It's great, still there. But there's so many popping up all over the place, Pug Uglies and Lavery's with Colin Geddes and stuff like that. And they're all really good nights. And there's a lot of young comedians coming through. It's genuinely hard to keep up with them all. As I say, I did 3 or 4 gigs recently just to prepare for this. And some of the people I didn't know, but they were great, great acts out there. And it's, I mean, we're starting to become a normal society now, finally. But I think even, compared to Dublin, a lot of people in Dublin go straight to England, but there's a really interesting scene here, and I think that's great.
Last time you were here, and as a DJ, I love this show, your criminal record show. Is it ever going to come back again? Will they do another one?
Do you know what? To be fair to the BBC, they've asked me for more, and I just haven't had time because I'm doing a history thing, the long and the short of it. But I love, and thank you very much. It's a great idea, and I want to do more. It's a lovely, for those of you who don't know, it's basically a reverse Desert Island Discs, where people come on and talk of the things that they hate, about the music that they hate, the worst song in their lives, the worst lyrics in their lives, the worst childhood song, the worst Eurovision song, the song that one played at their funeral. And it's been really, really good fun. Colin Murray was on it, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Colin's very enthusiastic about his music, as you know. But I had brilliant people on. Philomena Begley.
I know.
Philomena, I wouldn't be the biggest fan of country. What a lovely, lovely woman. Absolutely lovely woman. Full of great stories and all of that. Brilliant, brilliant woman. Everybody from Carl Frampton to Philomena Begley, you know. It's a nice way of getting to know people, because people open up about what they don't like and are very passionate about what they don't like, you know. And I would love to bring it back. In fact, I think it's a good telly show, probably even a podcast.
I think so. I think you've got something there. Finally, what about Give My Headpiece coming back on TV? Are we going to see you back on the big screen?
We have 4 more episodes planned for the end of the year, so Christmas, New Year. 4 brand new episodes, and we'll all be back on that. So we're delighted, and thanks to the BBC for that.
Brilliant. Well, Tim, good to see you, as always.
Thank you very much.
Good luck with the rest of the tour. You're coming to the Grand Opera House when?
We're coming the last week in March. We're right up to the Saturday, the 1st of April. There's 8 shows, and there's still a few tickets left, but not very many. Genuine, not very many. So get in now.
Brilliant. Good to see you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Now, Chris Kavanagh's tribute to the music legend Luke Kelly comes to the Grand Opera House here in Belfast on St Patrick's night. That's going to be a fabulous gig. And earlier on today, I caught up with the man himself, Chris Kavanagh, to find out about the legend of Luke Kelly show. Okay, moving on to a show that's making its way to Belfast, to the Grand Opera House on St Patrick's night. The legend of Luke Kelly. What a night that's going to be. The man behind it is Chris Kavanagh, who joins us now on the line. Chris, how are you?
I'm grand, thanks, Robin. How are you keeping?
Very well, thank you. So really looking forward to seeing your show in Belfast. Obviously up here in the north, lots of Dubliners fans, lots of Luke Kelly fans out there.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's kind of iconic worldwide at this stage, you know. But yeah, certainly the people in the north of Ireland love Luke, yeah.
So what was it got you into the whole Irish folk music, Luke Kelly? How did all that happen then?
I suppose it all started when I was about 3. My grandmother, like a religion, had the Dubliners records on every Sunday while the dinner was on. So it got into the blood, and she had me singing all those songs when it was a nipper, so it stayed in the blood, and I'm still doing it, you know. And
years later, you would actually go on to tour with the Dubliners yourself, wouldn't you?
That's right. Back in 2011, I got a call from John Sheehan, and I thought it was a prank call, to be honest. And he said, "Would you like to stand in with us for 2 weeks?" I'd only met him a few months earlier. And he says, "Would you like to stand in with us for 2 weeks in Germany?" Of course, it was like winning the musical lottery for me, you know. So I was delighted. And of course, I got to play with Barney before he died. He died the following year. And then Eamon Campbell was a gas man too. Of course, we lost Eamon too. But it was a fantastic experience, you know. And they were treated like gods in Germany. The Dubliners were so well loved. Yeah.
Well, I once went on the drink with Ronnie Drew at the Edinburgh Festival. What a night that was. And people always say to me, what was it like having a night out with Ronnie Drew? I honestly can't remember a thing about it.
A proper order. You live to tell the tale anyway.
I just remember there was lots of whiskey being taken. That's what I remember.
Yes, yeah.
So tell us about the show then. The legend of Luke Kelly. I mean, it goes down so well all over the world, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose it's great music. It's music that really brings people together, and I suppose it's really remembering Luke and all those great songs that he chose to sing. You know, and Luke's family still come out to see us all the time. And just at the end of January, there was Luke's 39th anniversary, and we played up in Vicar Street, and some of Luke's family got up and performed with us, and as they normally do, you know. But they're wonderful people, and John Sheehan still shows his face now and again and has an old tune with us, you know. So it's fantastic the way the band has been on the road for, well, I've been doing this 20 years now, and it hasn't gotten lost any interest. It's only getting stronger all the time. We've been around the world, Australia included, and it's great where the music can take you. And I suppose it's there's a lot of Irish people spread out all over the globe, so the music is well loved.
So out of all those songs in the back catalogue, is there a particular favourite of yours then?
I love the Night Visiting song. That was probably one of the first songs that Luke ever was taught by his grandmother. He was only a little fella, and it was the last song that he actually recorded on the television a few months before he died. So it had a great significance, I suppose, in his life. It's a lovely Scottish song.
Yeah. So St Patrick's Night then, you're coming to Belfast. You're going to be in the fabulous Grand Opera House. Have you played that venue before?
I haven't. It's the first time for us to play there. I believe it's a very swanky spot, so I'm looking forward to it, And
then once you finish in Belfast, there's other tour dates up here as well, isn't there?
Yeah, and then we're going to be in the Down Arts Centre on the 31st of March. We're doing a lot of work with David Hull. David's a real gent, and he's been kind enough to book us all over the place up in the north of Ireland. So the Portico Arts and Heritage Centre and Portaferry, the Ardone Theatre in Enniskillen on the 20th of May. The Friday the 2nd of June is the Alley Theatre in Strabane. And then we'll be back in the Crumlin Road Jail, the Crum, in Belfast on Saturday, the 26th of August. That was great crack. We were up there already, and we took a little tour of the jail, and we sang the Old Triangle, and did the spot very well. Yeah. So,
excellent.
Yeah, it's
all fabulous venues to look forward to. Chris, it's been great talking to you, and we look forward to seeing you back in Belfast. Thank you for joining us.
Lovely talking to you, Robin. Thanks a million.
And that's going to be a great night at the Grand Opera House on St Patrick's Night, the legend of Luke Kelly. Some more music now, and Amberlight are back with a great new song. It's called Not a Day Goes By, and here is the brand new music video.
There's not a day goes by, you're never off my mind. I'd give my world to be holding you close to me. There's not a night I've lived when I've had so much to give. You mean the world to me. Forever you're all I need. Love runs deep, secrets my heart will keep. Forever lost in time, dreaming when you were mine. There's not a day goes by. Please take my broken heart, darling. I've played my part. Put me together again. Hold me until the end. Reference deep, secrets my heart will keep. Forever lost in time, dreaming that you were mine. There's not a day goes by.
So there we go, great new music from Paul Casey and Lauren Doherty, otherwise known as Amberlight. That's called Not a Day Goes By. Moving on to talk theatre now, and Henry VIII and a black Tudor artist takes centre stage in the world premiere of a new play called The Trumpet and the King. To tell us more, director Andrea Montgomery joins us in the studio. How are you?
I'm glad to be here. It's nice to be with you again.
Good to see you again, but for
different
something
play.
completely different. Last time,
Yes.
Caroline Curran was there with you. We're talking about Maggie Muff, but
Yes.
we're moving on to something completely different, a
Yes.
million worlds away, aren't we?
We are. It's like the old Monty Python. And now for something completely different. Yeah, I do. I like to have different strings to my bow, Robin. I really do. So this is one that I've written, and it's kind of a chance to, dive into a period of history that really interests me. And we were talking. It's definitely it's coming of age story, so it's got serious elements, but it does have a lot of the kind of comedy that I enjoy in there as well.
And it's a story that nobody really knows as well. Is it a real life story, or did
It
this come from your
is.
head?
It really is, yes. So in 2018, I'm a hard woman to buy Christmas presents for, because I don't know, I have kind of esoteric interests, but my husband really hit the jackpot in 2018. He bought me this book by a lady called Miranda Kaufman, and it's called The Black Tudors, and she finds 8 or 10 people who were black who lived in Tudor England, and tells their stories and gathers the kind of little elements of their history. And John Blank was the first chapter. And I remember like pouring through it, and it was so interesting. For instance, there's a bill that's in the records that shows John Blank writing to Henry VIII when he was about 17 or 18, asking him to double his salary, and Henry signs it. So they were really good, connected. They were good. I don't know if they were good friends or not. In my play, they are. There is this friendship between them, but they definitely knew each other. There was another story that I ran into of them rehearsing for some great big kind of triumphant, like a big play that they put on at court, with music and all kinds of stuff. And the set was too heavy, and they fell through the floor of the Bishop of Ely's palace and ended up in the basement. So there's all kinds of fascinating stuff that you find when you start to dig around historically. But John Blank really existed, and he is the first black British artist where we have his name and we have a portrait of him, yes. And there's a thing that's a bit like the Bayeux Tapestry. It's called the Westminster Roll, and it runs the whole, this enormous big long thing, and it shows Henry at, I think he was about 19 when it was made, and it shows him fighting and the ladies admiring, and his trumpeters trumpeting, and John Blank is one of them, and he appears twice, and so that we have an image from the period. And when I found out that there was an artist that I didn't know about, and I've run an intercultural theatre company for 15 years, and I'm passionately interested in history, I just thought, oh wow, I would love to make a play about that.
Yeah. So essentially, it's about from the young lives right through, isn't it?
It's a period that we have information for. So it's kind of about, they meet when Henry's about 11 or 12 in our play, and it runs through, John disappears from the history books about 1514.
Right.
So Henry's in his 20s by that point. So what it covers is, they believe that John arrived from Granada, which was the last Muslim kingdom in Spain. And Islam had occupied Spain for 700 years, so it had been all throughout the Middle Ages, Spain had been in these Islamic kingdoms. And John is in the very last kingdom, and his parents work in the Alhambra. And when Catherine is being sent over to England to marry into the Tudor family, he goes with her as a 15-year-old trumpeter. Wow. And so he's in her entourage, and the play also follows what happens to Catherine, because she has a pretty rough time for a teenage girl. Yeah. And John kind of leaves her and is sort of plucked out by the Tudors and made a trumpeter at court, first by Henry VII, and then he befriends Henry VIII when they're kind of, so he's just about 4 years older. Yeah. So they're kind of, it's like a kind of 12-year-old and a 16-year-old, and then Henry, later it picks up when they're 15, and you just see them kind of go through this development. And Henry, most people don't know, but Henry came to the throne when he was 17. Wow. And his father died, and what he did was he went straight to Catherine of Aragon, who'd been kind of locked up in this other palace, and said, "I love you, and will you marry me?" And they were happily married for 20 years. So it's kind of it's these young friends, all of them, you know, in this period. And it's really rich pickings for a story that you want to write that maybe young people might be interested in.
Yeah, now there's some funny moments in there as well, isn't there?
Well, you can't have two teenage boys trying to figure out girls without there being funny moments. So there's one that we call, it's a series of scenes. So the way the play works is they're meeting now in limbo. So it's neither heaven nor hell. They don't quite know where they are. They haven't seen each other for 500 years. They're back in their teenage bodies. So Henry's not the fat king that we know. He's this young, beautiful, he was beautiful apparently, stripling, and they're kind of going, whoa, what are we doing here? Well, who are you? And what they're trying to work out is, what are the big questions of their life, you know? And so we see them drop into various memories. When they pick up, so here I've got a ring on. If I found this ring on the ground in our play and picked it up, it might draw me right back into the memory that they were in. So that's how it works. They get pulled back into these memories. And there's one called, John and Henry talk about the women of the Alhambra. And it's basically Henry can't get sex education information from anybody. So he's like, John, have you ever done it? You know, like, what's it like? And John is horribly embarrassed. And he kind of goes, shouldn't you talk to your chaplain? And Henry goes, no, he's never done it. He's probably fell off and turned to dust. Well, you've got to tell me. And so John finally goes, and he's kind of trying to decide, and he doesn't want to offend the king's son, and he doesn't want to get scolded for talking about rude things. So he finally says, it's like figgy pudding. And Henry goes, figgy pudding, which is, of course, this really rich, sticky, delicious Tudor pudding that we found. And I don't need to say any more than that, but basically they talk about girls in the context of puddings. So, you know, is it lemon posset? Is it gooseberry fool? And they settle on figgy pudding. And it's kind of, it's quite raunchy.
The movie American Pies came into my head for some weird reason as well.
It's Tudor American Pie.
And there's only two actors on stage as well, playing all these parts, isn't there?
Yeah. So they play, they play Henry VII. They both play Catherine of Aragon.
Right.
And they're totally convincing. You know, when she's hurt and Henry, and she's thinking she's going to go home to Spain to a convent because she's been really badly treated by Henry's father. And he kind of rocks up at her door and says, marry me. It's really romantic, in spite of the fact that a 6-foot black man is playing Catherine of Aragon, because they're doing all the doubling. They really have got it. You really believe she's in the room. So they play her, they play their own mothers, they play various courtiers, because John has to negotiate all the jealousy and infighting of the Tudor court. And so people are very, you know, there's a lot of, he goes through a lot, so they play all of that. And they just flip in and out of these characters kind of effortlessly. And it's really exciting. I'm really enjoying it.
There'll be a lot of kids out there who've seen Six, the musical, recently as well, which is amazing. And this would be a way to get a bit more background story, a bit more after that, wouldn't it?
Exactly. And the thing is that he's the age you are when you're in high school.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of imagine, what if you were, just imagine being 17 and, you know, your father's just died, and you don't know if, you know, Henry VIII's father was the very first Tudor, and he got the throne through, killing Richard III. Yeah. So the throne is drenched in blood. You're 17. You don't know if people are they're going to string you up from a lamppost. Are you going to be safe? And you've got to kind of go in there and try and hold England together. It's an extraordinary story. Yeah. I mean, I'm less interested in that old guy at the end who did all those horrible things to women, you know, and I know, and Henry has to deal with that. He has to deal with the fact, there's a point in the play where he says, because he's 19 years old in our play, and he goes, he's in limbo, so he knows everything that's happened, he knows what he's going to turn into, and he kind of goes, you know, wouldn't you, if you were 19 and you knew that was what you were going to turn into, wouldn't you want people to know something about who you are now?
Yeah.
And it's kind of, and that's where it kind of touches me, because both of them have that. And John is facing the fact that he's been whitewashed out of history. So he's kind of going, I had meaning and I had purpose and I was talented and I want people to remember me. It's a kind of, you know, it's like fame, you know, baby, remember my name, you know, kind of that sort of, you know. And I suppose it's, I mean, I could talk about it forever, forgive me, but it is also the kind of, you know, the young artist trying to be successful. Yeah. And we, you know, I remember those days don't seem so long ago, you know, they were, but you can still remember back to being that person trying to break into acting or break into music. And I know you get a lot of aspiring artists come through here, and this is just it's the same story 500 years ago.
Wow.
So I do think it's got real, I hope people will really kind of get it.
Yeah.
Because I am so in love with those characters. I really
I can't
am.
wait to come and see it now.
Oh,
I really
thank you.
can. So we're opening at the Grand Opera House in the
Yes.
studio space, aren't we?
We are. So let me try and remember if I can. So it's a couple of days at the Opera House starting on the 14th of March. Then we go to the Seamus Heaney home place in Ballymena on the 16th. Then we all take St. Patrick's weekend off so that we can drink and
Yes.
recover. And then after that, we go on and we're kind of out. So we start in Bangor at Studio 1A. Then we go to the Marketplace in Armagh. We go to the Ardoin in Enniskillen. Then by the kind of 25th of March, we're in the Island Arts Centre. We go into the Braid on the 28th, and that's just for schools, that performance. And then we finish up, we have 2 days in the Old Courthouse in Antrim, and on April Fool's Day, on the 1st of April, we're kind of crowning it all with a performance at Down Arts Centre in Downpatrick.
Brilliant. Excellent. It sounds fabulous. I
Thank
am
you.
looking forward to coming to see it. The best of luck with it.
Thank you very much.
And good to see you again.
Thank you, Robin. It's lovely to be here.
Thank you. Time now for our What's On guide. We'll take a look and see what's happening throughout Belfast and beyond over the next week and beyond. So we're starting off in the city of Armagh, the home of St. Patrick, and they're celebrating his life and legacy as part of an 8-day festival of events that gets underway on Saturday the 11th of March and runs through until Sunday the 19th of March. Armagh's iconic Marketplace Theatre plays an important part in this year's festival, hosting performances from big name acts in music, theatre and comedy. And as part of this year's lineup of events, acclaimed tribute band Celtic Soul will return to the Marketplace Theatre with a special tribute to one of Ireland's greatest musical talents, Sir Van Morrison, on the 11th of March. And also playing tribute to some of the greats with a traditional roundup of songs of home, Malachy Cush will take to the stage alongside musical sensation Niamh McGlinchey and Carl McGuckin to transport guests on a journey through the tremendous Irish songbook, and that takes place on the 15th of March. For more information, check out the website visitarmagh.com/St. Patrick. Now we're moving on to the Grand Opera House on Saturday the 18th of March, and a unique evening of great music will take place as Scottish folk legend Barbara Dixon shares the Opera House stage with Belfast-based songwriter Anthony Toner. And the pair have toured frequently over the last 7 years, with Anthony as Barbara's special guest, but this one-off night offers an equal share of the spotlight. To book your tickets, go to goh.co.uk. Now, Strictly Come Dancing champion 2021, Giovanni Pernice, is on his way back to Belfast. He returns to the Waterfront Hall on the 19th of March with his Made in Italy show. And to book your tickets, go to waterfront.co.uk. Now, following their sold-out Custom House Square show in 2022, legendary NI punk legends Stiff Little Fingers return to Custom House Square for another special night in Belfast on Saturday the 19th of August, alongside an all-star lineup of very special guests and friends, including Peter Hook and The Light, Glenn Matlock, the Star Jets and DJ Terry Hooley. And tickets for that gig went on sale this morning, and you can get yours at ticketmaster.ie. That's going to be a great night. Talking about things that went on sale this morning, and due to phenomenal demand, Jackmate's Happy Hour podcast heads back out on tour, and it comes to the Ulster Hall here in Belfast on the 10th of May. And presented by Jackmate Stevie White and Robbie Knox, Happy Hour is the most popular British podcast on Spotify and regularly tops the most listened to charts. And Happy Hour Live will feature plenty of shenanigans and fan favourites like Martin the Guinea Pig Centipede, Creepy Library and Mac Bean, as well as fan favourites like Urban Legends. There'll also be a chance for the audience to get involved as well in a special question and answer session, so book your tickets now at ticketmaster.ie. And finally for now, if you want to catch a movie in cinemas this weekend, what about Creed 3? He's still dominating the boxing world, and Adonis Creed is thriving in his career and family life when Damien, a childhood friend and former boxing prodigy, resurfaces after spending time in prison. He's eager to prove that he deserves his shot in the ring. And the face-off between former friends is more than just a fight. To settle the score, Adonis must put his future on the line to battle Damien, a fighter who has nothing to lose.
Let go of whatever was and walk into what is.
I feel those chains are breaking, yeah. I fear God, I don't fear death. I see those streets and take a step.
And of course, Belfast's brand new cinema, the Avenue Cinema Cafe and Bar, officially opened its doors to the public today. That's down at Castle Court Shopping Centre, and the 28,000 square foot space will boast 9 luxury designed 60-seat auditoriums with plush velvet double sofas and armchairs, each with their own side table and footstool with extra legroom for the ultimate in cinema comfort. So why not check out Belfast's brand new cinema. That's your What's On guide this week. Now, if you're a big fan of the TV show Neighbours, you're going to love the next guest, actor Alan Fletcher, aka Dr Karl Kennedy. We'll be chatting to him in just a second, but before that, he's also got a new album out called To The Point. So performing one of the tracks from the album, here is Alan Fletcher.
How good is bed? How good is bed? There's no place I'd rather be instead. In a fortress made of pillows, safe in your embrace. Pray I never need to raise my head. How good is bed?
So there we go, that's a clip of a brand new song called How Good Is Bed. It's one of the great songs on Alan Fletcher's brand new album, The Point, which is out right now. And I'm pleased to say the man himself joins us in the studio. How are you?
I'm great. I love again a reunion after so many years.
16 years since you were last on this show. Can you believe that?
Nuts. I might have changed a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. Last time you were here, you were playing the Mandela Hall.
Yeah.
And from what I remember, that was a pretty crazy night, wasn't it?
It was massive. I think the venue held 900. And reportedly, there were 1,200 in there. The meet and greet after the gig was insane.
Yeah.
Eventually, security had to pull us out of the building. It got a little bit, busy, but
Yes.
a great night.
Yeah.
A wonderful night. And then we came back a couple of years later and recreated that gig. But those were my rock and roll days. And
Exactly, and now it's not. It's more kind of the kind of laid back Americana, acoustic-y type vibe now, isn't
that's
it?
right, very much singer-songwriter. Although we've got some, I like to mix it up. I've got some songs which are very heartfelt about my life and about the people in it. And then I like to mix it up with a bit of comedy, like you saw with How Good Is Bed there. And there's a few others on there that hopefully will give people a laugh. Because I don't take myself too seriously, Robin. So I like to have a crack.
It's also a duet with your wife on this album as well, isn't it?
Yes, somebody. It's actually a bit of marriage guidance advice.
Right, okay.
About how to deal with blame inside a marriage.
And how long have you been married for then?
Just a lazy 33 years.
Wow, so what's the secret then to a happy marriage?
Well, I mean, I think the big key is to just listen to each other.
Yeah.
And also not let your life become more important than the marriage.
Yeah.
So, she's my focus, and everything else that happens that's pleasurable around that is a bonus.
Yeah, okay. So you're here in Belfast at the moment. You were in Donegal actually yesterday
I
as
was.
well, weren't you?
What a beautiful place, a lovely fishing village, and so quaint, and had a meal down there, and that's the sort of thing I can see why so many people live down there too. There's like I saw those beautiful houses on the waterfront there, which I know are pretty pricey. But you can see why people would live down there. It's divine.
Exactly. Yeah. So as well as promoting the new album, you're on the Neighbours tour.
Yes.
As well at the moment.
Yes.
And we were all heartbroken when we discovered it was going to be the end. And I have to admit, I watched it from the start, from the Scott and Charlene days and stuff, and actually shed a tear myself during the final episode of it. But it's coming back.
It's coming back. I mean, 5.5 million Brits can't be wrong. They all watched the last episode cumulatively.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful that Amazon looked at this as an opportunity to take it to the streaming market. And the great thing is it's free as well.
Yeah.
So, it's on a free app. And they've already started showing things too. We've got the 200 classic episodes from 2012 are being shown now. So they're available. And there'll be more teasers, there'll be more sort of things happening throughout the year before Neighbours actually starts back later in the year.
And what can you tell us about the new series then?
I wish I could tell you something. What I can tell you is it will be everything that people love. It will be everything that people ever loved about Neighbours will still be there.
Yeah.
I just think it's fantastic. We get a chance to reinvent ourselves. We get a chance to we're having a do-over here, Robin.
Yeah.
It's amazing. How often do you get a chance to sit back and say, okay, what could we do better?
Yes, exactly.
You know.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll find the things that we can do better and do those.
So how many years have you been in the show for?
It's just 28 years.
28 years.
So
Now, you were in 1988.
That's right.
You did play a different character, didn't you?
That's right. So I played Greg Cooper for
Yeah.
3 weeks. So if we thought about that, we added that time in, forgot about the time I was out of the show. You could say I was there for a lot longer. A 3-week little role. I loved it. I played a mechanic.
Yeah.
Got to work with Kylie and a few others, and all my mates too. Stephen Dennis was there, and Alan Dale. It was just a lovely time. But I was doing theatre at the time.
Yeah.
And they did actually say to me, would you do Greg Cooper?
Yeah.
Would you play that character for a year?
Right.
And I said, no, look, I'm doing Shakespeare. I'll forget about that. Imagine if I'd done it, though, because Neighbours was so popular then. I might have done a year on Neighbours then, and I would have been a pop star.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Of course, as everybody did back in 1988, didn't
Yes,
they?
yeah.
When Dr. Karl came into the show, it was only a year contract as well, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. They're all year contracts. It's funny that I've had 28 one-year contracts.
And what would you say is the greatest Dr. Karl moment then? What's the big standout one that you'll always remember?
I have to say to you, because I love doing the comedy, right?
Yeah.
So obviously all the big dramas are amazing, all the affairs and everything. Episode 7000, Robin, my favourite episode ever. Karl Kennedy finds a scratch-it ticket that hasn't been scratched. He looks at it, it's worth $7,000. And this is a man who loves money, right? He's very excited, but he loses the ticket.
Yeah.
So he has to traipse all around Erinsborough, trying to go retracing his steps to try and find it. When he gets to Toadie's house, Toadie's having a naturalist lunch. Everyone's nude inside. So Karl has to nude up to go in and find his ticket, which he does find stuck to Toadie's backside. It's high drama, dramatic comedy. It's very funny. Still remains my favourite episode.
So was acting something you always wanted to do, or did music come first? How did it work out
acting
for you?
first.
Acting first,
My passion for acting started in school days. I had some wonderful teachers. We did tons and tons of plays. Went to university, took over the Dramatic Society, staged a coup. And within 2 years of starting university, I was invited to go professional in Perth, in the theatre. So I kind of did an apprenticeship in theatre. And touch wood, I've been basically working for the last 45 years.
You've done some great stuff. I mean, you were in The Young Doctors as well,
Yes,
weren't you?
that was my first TV gig in Sydney. And one of the highlights was The Love Boat.
Now, The Love Boat, for people who don't remember, I mean, I do, and every major Hollywood star appeared in The Love Boat at some stage. And I have to say, back in the 80s, I had a massive crush on Morgan Fairchild.
Oh, yes. Well,
and you were her fiancée.
I mean, go figure.
What was that like?
Oh, it was very funny. She was lovely.
Yeah.
And a very fiercely intelligent person.
Yeah.
And Grant Goodeve played her ex-husband. So we were really, our story was the three of us. Yeah. So we had some great comedy to do. But when you're working on the boat, you go to dinner and Lloyd Bridges is sitting there. Jim Neighbours is sitting there going, well, Gomer pal. It's just like heaven, seeing all these wonderful big stars. And they're all very friendly, just wonderful. They treated me so well. And then, it was quite a bizarre experience.
I got to find that episode. It has to be on YouTube somewhere.
It's out there.
It has to be.
I think my bit was called 3 in a Bed or something.
As well as that, you worked with the late, great Arthur Lowe, who, of course, was Captain Mannering in Dad's Army. I mean, that must have been fabulous.
He taught me so much. Honestly, the man was a master at timing, comic timing, and a glorious, funny man. And yes, I did play with him. I did his summer show, which was called Beyond a Joke. Mm-hmm. You should never call a play Beyond a Joke, because it lets the critics say it was. It was a very lovely, charming English farce, 3-act, the usual thing. I played the Jew. Yeah. One of my fondest memories is that Arthur had a tendency to nap a lot because he used to eat very late in the evening. And he would fall asleep at the beginning of Act 3 on the sofa every night. Yeah. And the instruction from the director was when I came on, I had to come on very loudly, crashing through the doors and shouting to wake him up. And sure enough, I'd see the back of his head and he'd go, "Oh, it's you." Funny man.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant stories. So acting's one of your passions, music is one of your passions as well, but then there's travel and photography.
Yeah.
And you've actually done your own travel series and everything.
It did, yes. I think it was screened on 5. It was called Photo Number 6. And we only did the one season, but we really got to travel. You know, we're talking Iceland, France, the UK, of course, down south, Namibia, all over the States, South Africa, and one of my favourite destinations, Morocco.
Wow, yeah.
So it was a great show to do. Pretty arduous, slipping around the world.
Yeah.
But yes, I love photography so much, and particularly travel photography. And it was just a joy to bring, you know, my experience in travel photography to the viewers.
You should do a book next. A photography
Well,
book would be great, wouldn't it?
You know, when I get that spare weekend, I'll start that one.
Because I've seen your schedule. I mean, it's pretty hectic over the next few weeks and months as well, isn't it?
It is, because I backed a music tour onto the back of the Neighbours Celebration tour. This Belfast gig is actually that I'm doing done in Belfast. That was actually suggested by Gary Quinn, who's a wonderful local muso, and he said come on down, play Belfast.
Brilliant,
with me. And
you're a bit injured today as well, aren't you? How you? Yeah.
Oh, doctor, heal thyself. This, unfortunately, is a snapped tendon, and it's called claw finger. Mallet finger. So I have to be in this for at least 10 weeks, which is making it interesting because I'm a guitar player.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to play guitar without the use of probably the most important finger in the hand.
Exactly.
It's amazing how you can get by.
Yes, yeah.
But I have got Chris Logan, the wonderful Chris Logan,
Our good
coming.
friend Chris Logan from The Rising.
Yeah,
Yes,
he's going to help me out by covering.
Brilliant. When you come to Northern Ireland, does it still surprise you when you see the fans? Because they're such die-hard Neighbours fans here.
They are wonderful. They're just wonderful. And I love the surprise because they don't expect to see you.
Yeah.
And often they don't recognise me now because, you know, I lost all my hair to alopecia. And then I'm sort of it's all coming back a bit. And but a lot of people don't recognise me and they sort of, they do this kind of...
Yeah.
It's such fun.
So the album, The Point, is out now?
Yeah, it's out now. It came out 10th of February. I'd love people to have a listen to it on all the streamers.
Yeah.
Obviously, we musicians rely on people following us on these streaming platforms. And when you release new music, then people find out about it really quickly. But also, if people wanted the hard copy, they could always trundle along to alanfletcher.net and go to the store and have a look at the music there.
Exactly. Let's play another clip from the album. What should we play this time? What should we go for?
There's a song there called Hey You.
Yeah.
Now, my mum was very important to me in my life, and she was a spiritualist, and she was my spiritual guide in life, and she always said that when she'd passed, she would still be there guiding me spiritually. I hang on to that thought. And Hey You is a little shout out to all the people we've lost, just basically sort of saying, hey, are you still there somewhere? So it's a bit of a sort of whimsical, reflective song.
Fabulous. We'll have a listen to that.
Hey you, I feel you watching down on me. Or is that just a fantasy? Are you really there? Take the time, maybe sling me a sign that you're waiting down the line for me to catch up to you.
Alan, it's been great to see you.
Wonderful to see you again.
We're not leaving 16 years the next time. Enjoy the rest of your time in Belfast and Northern Ireland. We'll see you soon, Alan.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank
Great
you.
to chat.
Said goodbye, you didn't see me cry. Said that I was heartless and unfair. I never realized the hurt I brought into your life. Never said how much I really care.
The day I said goodbye, you never asked me why. Watch me walk away without a word, 'cause you could never see the hurt you brought to me. I gave you everything that you deserved.
The word left unspoken is the reason we are broken. It's praying that you turn around, but you just chose to stand your ground. Hearts lie in pieces, 'cause your pride won't be defeated. Sorry saw your misery. When we fought, you clung to me. I guess you never made it quite clear.
Blinded by the love we made, couldn't see this love decay. Never thought that you would stray from me.
The word left unspoken is the reason we are broken. It's praying that you turn around. You just chose to stand your ground, and two hearts lie in pieces, 'cause your pride won't be defeated. Sorry is the word you never found. Girl, we're together still, had a kid, you know the drill. There's not a lot of flame, it's more a spark.
The man is honest, always kind, and I am always on his mind. But you're the one who truly owns my heart.
Word left unspoken is the reason we are broken. Praying that you turn around. You just chose to stand your ground. Now two hearts lie in pieces, 'cause your pride won't be defeated. Sorry is the word you never found.
Sorry is the word you never found.
Sorry is the word we never found.
Now we're finishing the show this week on some more live music. A band who play the Black Box here in Belfast on the 18th of March. Why am I doing a serious intro? I don't know, because it's really Stevie the cameraman who's here to talk about his band, Empty Spaces. How did you get in that seat? Who let you in that seat?
I don't know. I guess I just signed myself off to come on the show. I just slipped it in there.
But anyway, you've got a gig coming up.
Yes.
Tell me all about it. How did this come about? What's happening?
We offered up that we would do this gig as kind of, you know, to get ourselves back out on the road again.
100%.
After COVID and things like that there, and to sort of release our new stuff.
Ah, right. So there's new material on the way. You've brought your good friend who's the bass player in the band, I believe. And the guy who actually named the band Empty Spaces, didn't you?
It was just one of those, you had to come up with something, I guess, and throw it in there, I guess, you know, just suggestions. Quite happy with the choice of the name. I think he wasn't too happy about it. He wanted something a bit, you know, heavier, but
yeah.
Didn't sit right with me, that one.
No, exactly. Well, I do know that he was in another band at one stage, and he actually has it tattooed to his arm. Can we have a look at the tattoo? Show the people.
I don't know. It's there somewhere. There's a sew off it.
So Something was the band anyway back then. Let's talk about Empty Spaces. For people who don't know, how would you describe yourselves?
Bluesy, rocky,
I mean,
steal the show vibes.
Our new stuff has really incorporated a lot of everything, really, from
Basically,
our blues side of things. Like me personally, I write a lot of the stuff in the bluesy kind of way, and then like Rahul, he sort of comes more from that modern, modern age, you know. Yeah. So it's a real weird kind of mix of like take 60s blues and put it with Rihanna.
You want to stay sort of true to the roots, I guess, as well. So like obviously you want to give something new, a new idea, something fresh for your audience, but you know, Steve or myself, you know, we like the old school sort of rock music. So we want to pay homage to that, but you know, also at the same time giving something new to everyone.
So the gig of the Black Box, we're going to get lots of new stuff, but you're going to throw a few covers and stuff in there as well, yeah?
Absolutely,
Yeah, I mean, that ticks as like Rahul was saying, like, back to our roots, you know, we love going out and playing that stuff just like anybody does. But really that night is to kind of introduce people to what we're bringing to the table now instead.
18th of March. In the Black Box, the day after St. Patrick's Day, actually.
Indeed, yeah.
And the great thing about this is the tickets are free, aren't they?
Yeah, completely free. Just show up and come on in.
Please do, we need it.
if you see me outside, I'll stand outside now, you know, I'll dance for you and everything like to bring you in.
All right, okay, right. We shall see you at the Black Box on the 18th of March, all right? So that's all we have time for on the show this week. Thank you to all my guests. Thank you for watching as well. And to play us out, here are Empty Spaces. See you next week. Bye-bye.